What's good, y'all? Michael here today for another video. Before we begin, please go subscribe to my channel if you are new and leave a like. So let's get to my report. I believe the Bears have ruined quarterback Mitchell Trubisky. And now, let me tell you why. Because when we drafted him, people kind of felt angry, me, myself included, before I saw the college film of Trubisky. Because here's the thing. The reason why they drafted Trubisky was because of his athleticism, and they saw how cute it was in North Carolina his first season. Okay. Now, if you look at his first year, he really didn't have no receivers because he had John Fox his first year. Then they bring in Matt Nagy, and they trade for Khalil Mack, and they have the vaunted, and they drafted Roquan Smith. So, and the defense was under Vic Fangio that season, which Vic Fangio is still a good defensive head coach in my opinion. He's still doing it in Denver. Denver may not, the defense might lost a few players, but out of all, the defense looks very good on Denver. So, also he had a top 10 offensive line, and the majority of Trubisky's success in 2018 was because of that defense, because the defense gave the offense good field position every time. So that defense was vaunted that year, I should say. Now we go into 2019, where obviously we don't have Vic Fangio. We have Chuck Pagano, who likes to put these big guys in coverages for whatever reason, but whatever, man. Then your offensive line is terrible. It falls under bottom five. Then your wide receiver Taylor Gabriel can't stay healthy, and your wide receivers are dropping passes, which they led the NFL in that last season. And Trubisky doesn't even have a damn tight end last year. He was thrown to undrafted tight ends last season. And his play caller was terrible. I'll give you an example. The Chargers game, where they on the goal line 6 times. The first time, before halftime, when the crowd was booing the Bears, even though their team was leading in halftime. Stop. Okay, you're by the goal line. What's your first transaction? You run the ball in, number one. Number two, you just throw to your tight end, or 3, you just quarterback sneak your way in. Why are you giving Trubisky confidence to throw the ball? 4 of them. Stop. You should have kept Jordan Howard. I know Montgomery's good, but Howard was special. You know what I mean? I just think the Bears would be better off if Trubisky was just hand the ball off to your running back and let him do all the work, and only let him throw when necessary, like the Titans do with Ryan Tannehill. Because my whole thing with Tannehill is he has a very good play caller that knows his strengths and weaknesses that Adam Gase couldn't develop. All right, you know what I mean? And it's from the beginning, I think we all can agree that we all knew from the start. Well, I did, but maybe not you, because I feel like Matt Nagy was going to have a perfect reason to bench Trubisky. All right. That interception was bad against the Falcons, but the fact that he pulled him out after that was absolutely disgusting. Even when he was undefeated. It was not like Trubisky was 0-2, 1-1. It was not like that. It was not like he was bad. Yeah, the interception was bad, but you don't know what the worst part is. You bring in a quarterback that you coached in Kansas City and his rookie year in Philadelphia, and it's the same result. So I think Matt Nagy is the problem in Chicago. Okay, he ruined the draft pick. He ruined number 10 Trubisky. And I knew from the beginning that I wouldn't be surprised if Matt Nagy lets his ego get in the way and benches Trubisky even when he has a good record. So if I look at the Bears, I'm like they have talented players. You have like Jimmy Graham, you have Cole Kmet, you have Robinson, you have Anthony Miller who looks all right. You have Darnell Mooney. Like you have these good receivers and these two good running backs, which are David Montgomery and Cordell Patterson. And I just hope they activate Lamar Miller soon. Like I'm tired of seeing Ryan also. But I think Ryan All's just going to be used as a fullback majority for the remainder of the season. So I look at the Bears and just look at their offensive line. Okay, Cody Whitehair is having a little bit of regression, and Charles Leno is acting like the same result as last year. Like Charles Leno had one good season and he has fallen off. Like Charles Leno doesn't even try to block. Maybe he does a little, but I don't think he actually tries. Like try. You know what I mean? Because when I think of the offensive line, it's that scene from the movie is you have to protect your quarterback like it's your baby, and like you have to protect the quarterback like it's your baby, or someone gonna remind me about what that movie is on Netflix. Like you have to protect your quarterback. You have to create holes for him to read. All right. When I look at the Bears, I just say you went to Nick Foles too quick. All right. You don't bring in Nick Foles week 3. Okay. Majority of Nick Foles' successes come in the end of the season when it comes in like November or December. That's when you bring in Nick Foles. You don't bring in Nick Foles week 3 and expect him to carry your team for 16 games. That's not what Nick Foles does. That's not what he does. And you saw what happened during the Vikings game. He got hurt. And I know the offensive line could protect him, but that just shows he's not athletic like Trubisky. Trubisky just scrambles out of the pocket and just tries to make a play. When I look at the Bears and the quarterback play with Trubisky, I just feel like they haven't utilized him well. What I mean by that is know his strengths and weaknesses, know what plays he's comfortable with. All right. Matt Nagy thinks this is the Kansas City Chiefs. Well, obviously it's not. This ain't the Kansas City Chiefs, dude. Like you don't have those dynamic top 5, top 10 playmakers and a good offensive line. Like you just don't. You don't. Like that's what Matt Nagy thinks the Bears are, and it's obviously not. All right. And I have a feeling Matt Nagy is going to get fired right after the season. Even if we do make the playoffs, I don't see why Matt Nagy is staying as a Bear, the head coach. And I don't see Pace as the general manager, too. Because at the end of the day, folks, if you look at his decisions on defense, he would say, why should we get rid of the guy who traded for Khalil Mack and drafted all these good defensive players? There's many good defensive players that besides Buster Screen, and I don't know if you want to count Robert Quinn, but I have a feeling, There's a reason why Robert Quinn isn't getting sacks because Chuck Pagano is putting Quinn in coverage majority of the time. And trust me, I watched the film. He puts these big dudes into coverage, but that ain't the problem. Like Pace is very good with defensive players. All right, but his offensive line moves have been have been terrible. Okay, you get Travis Gibson, who only started one game this season. All right, and pretty much you just like it took you to the 7th round to finally draft a lineman who 7th round linemen don't develop in 3 years. Like, are you trying to ruin a franchise quarterback? Unbelievable, man. And this bothers me is because, you know, I I just don't like the fans for this because you're acting like he has help. Yeah, he still has a few problems, like he can't make simple reads, but I'm telling you, man, the head coach ain't it. Okay, you can't sit here and tell me one guy changes the influence of the entire team. All right. What like it just bothers me to think that you think Mahomes and Watson would do better in Chicago. No, they wouldn't. Because you want to know why people they would have? Because they would be like quarterback number 10. And they're in a division with Aaron Rodgers. Like, are you trying to ruin a quarterback? Like, unbelievable, man. If my team doesn't re-sign Trubisky in the offseason or give him at least a franchise tag or a 1-year deal, I hope my team goes 30 years without a quarterback. Like, after the way they did Trubisky, I just can't forgive them. Like, I legit can't forgive them. I wish the worst on them. You know, it'll take me 30 years to get over it, but I legit hope my team goes 30 years without a quarterback if they were to do this to quarterback 10. So anyway, that's it. That's all. Please go subscribe. As always, my name is Michael, and I approve this message.